you lead us in the pledge tonight?
Everybody up, hands on the heart. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, always just remain standing, and Heavenly Father, may you help us think through all the issues here tonight and guide us in our decisions. Amen. Okay, we're going to open the public hearing, Mr. Noto?
Yep.
Okay, so
CDBG.
can I get a motion to open the public hearing on CBDG?
I'll make a motion.
I get a second? Okay. And all in favor? Aye. Terrific. So, is there any, Mr. Arcaro, how are we going to do this? Are we going to have the Friends of Crawford Park make the presentation first? Thank you so much.
Excuse me,
I just have to go.
Hello. I understand there's no mic tonight, so I'm going to be loud and try to be. My name is Laura Klein. I'm president of the Friends of Crawford Park. We attended the last council meeting and heard about the CDBG funding initiative, and we're like, we have to support this. This is totally in line with our role of and mission of improving the park. So, Gary, Greg, slide forward.
Okay.
So our role for the application was to basically reach out to the community, and we acquired 12 letters of support from the community leaders and disability advocates. And we also created a plan and a budget for the sensory garden. This was, it was pretty easy. I'd like to say I was a really persuasive person, but everybody I would reach out to ask for help and support on this was like, of course. So if you can go to the next slide. The community support was so high. We were able to get 12 letters. I broke it up into 3 different sections. First, we went over the people the participants that would mostly be, benefit the universal accessibility of the park. So Access Westchester, Cynthia Walquist is like, she's an amazing woman who's got she built a sensory garden and universal playground at Saxon Woods, and so she's got a lot of great experience, and she's a great resource for us. She was very helpful. Jerry Peters is with the Southeast Consortium. He leads a lot of outings out in the park. He uses the Town of Rides park a lot. Not so much Crawford Park because it's not very accessible to them. So these guys are looking for places to play and to socialize. Cerebral Palsy of Westchester, they're in Rybrook. They're always busing people back and forth to their facilities. Would love to see another avenue for recreation. And Westchester is disabled on the move. Melvin Tinson's working with Bishop and helping us kind of get the resources together for the universally accessible playground area. Locally, this is the next section. The mayor of Rybrook gave us a lovely letter, obviously from Crawford Park. The Portchester Council for the Arts, Diane Colangelo, uses the mansion right now for her arts camps, and she sees firsthand the difficulties it is getting up and down the stairs. She says this is a dream come true. If we could get access elevators up to the second floor, she could go crazy with initiatives of like making all these wonderful programs come to life. And then both the superintendents for the Portchester School and the Blindbrook School boards have given us, their stamp of approval, as did the Blindbrook Board of Education. And then lastly, the two, top players, Steve Otis and George Latimer, gave us glowing letters of recommendation. So hopefully, all those, combined in one big thing will make a really substantial part of the application and make the state really take notice of us.
Well, that's fantastic. Great work. Fantastic.
It was easy because people really want to help the park, and so I think that they'll have no problem. You know, if we get this grant money at least halfway, I don't think there's going to be a problem with getting the second part of the bond to go through. I think that the community expects great facilities, and they're willing to, you know, support them.
Wonderful.
So this next slide, I'll turn over to Teresa Stevens. She is the horticultural chair, and she'll talk about the sensory gardens and our plans for that.
So part of making the park a little bit more handicapped accessible is to include what is typically known as a sensory garden. And the sensory garden includes features that address all of the 5 senses. And specifically, we are trying to make it more of an interactive garden for people with disabilities that are either from a birth defect or suffer from autism or are just over or understimulated. And so what we want to do is we want to use colorful plants and also bring in objects that appeal to not only the visual sense but also to the sound. We wanted to incorporate a water feature into the center of the garden so that the sound from the water is very calming effect for some people, you know, from either too much stress or too much stimuli going on around them. Also, we wanted to include herbs and plants that are edible so that they could explore the sense of not only touch and smell, but also be able to taste them as well. So we are thinking things like mint and lavender would be great plants to incorporate in there as well. We designed it as a raised bed garden so that people who are you know, either limited in their movement or confined to wheelchair access would be able to reach over the armchair of the wheelchair and reach in and be able to touch and feel the objects that are incorporated into the garden, not just the plants, but also the bark and wood chips that we have, as well as the water feature. The design, which we don't really reflect in our drawing here, on the surface of the wall will be similar to the other fieldstone walls that are in the park. And so that's what leads up to a little bit more of the expense. Gives it a really nice aesthetic with the stone facing. Although it's not going to be stone all the way through, it will be mainly designed to look as if it's a full-fledged stone wall. So we hope to incorporate some kind of electricity for the pump, which is operating the water feature. And also we want to work in some lighting as well along the path so that as night falls, if anybody's there having an event at the park, they'll be able to see the light in the distance, and it will become kind of like a focal point for the planting area. And also this, we're planning to tie it in with the new playground that we're planning to build within the rest of the proposal. And this would be approximately within 10 to 20 feet of the playground, so it won't be too far off the path for children and disabled adults who might be visiting that part of the park. It will also have access from the driveway with a new walking path and additional handicap parking as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It looks great, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, one thing I want to point out is this would be kind of right before the playground area, and the wall could also be used as additional seating. So caretakers and moms and dads could be sitting on the wall listening to the water as their, you know, their backs will be turned to the water feature and looking towards the playground area, just so you can get a visual of where we're thinking of putting it.
That's beautiful. And that's where I'm going to spend my time once I'm done.
Stress.
Great, so the next slide. So, you know, I know we've kicked around the idea of doing some stairs on the second floor of the mansion, and we've always been like, well, what are we gonna do with the second floor? So I believe strongly that once the elevator to the second floor is put in place, that we can turn this underused mansion, at least the second floor part of it, into like a really vibrant community center. Yeah, so I feel like what we just need to do first is get the elevator built, identify the needs of the community, conduct a community survey, which would ensure successful programming and generate buy-in, and then implement programs that start small and grow big. I mean, we've got a working kitchen, they could do cooking classes, we could have you know, creative writing classes where we blend Portchester and Rybrook students together in one community and have them share experiences and creatively.
Would friends be willing to work on that?
Yeah,
Community
well, you know,
outreach?
and I've also been talking to Diane Colangelo about
Denise
it.
Colangelo,
Denise,
yeah.
I'm thinking her name, sorry, Denise.
Yeah,
You know, she's been doing a lot of this already,
yeah.
and I think that, you know, we can tap into resources that are already existing that are doing this, leaning into the Portchester Parents for the Arts, the Rybrook and the Portchester Recreation Departments, and seeing what their needs are, and trying to offer a wide variety of classes. And almost make it like a park shared resource, like a park commission that could come together and kind of
Beautiful.
administer the
Great.
park. There's a lot of need out there.
Yeah, wonderful. Wow, I can't thank you enough for all the thought you put into this.
Yes, and so the answer is, yeah, I'd be happy to help make it work, you know, and I'd be, you know,
Great.
happy to.
Now, Greg, well, this presentation is fantastic. Will it be part of our
Yes.
application?
You'll see in a sec, right?
Okay, great.
And then this last slide, this is how it ends. So long-term goal, self-sustaining resource, imagine a cultural center at the heart of the park, and the money generated will kind of go back into maintaining the park and the facilities, the community benefits, and the park shines. So
Wonderful.
it's a win-win.
Wow.
So.
I gotta say, you know, I've been pushing for the second floor, and then I think there's been some fair-minded concerns about, okay, what are you gonna do? You don't wanna build a bridge to nowhere. So I think you've really done a great job of answering that question.
I think that there's a lot of young people out there that would love to use this, and older people too, once we have the elevator up. And then when we were having meetings up on the second floor, some of our older members couldn't climb the stairs because of knee problems, and so it was hard for them to just even get up there. So, you know, I could see senior citizens using it during the day and kids using it after school, and, you know, it'll be busy. It'll be
Great.
good.
Thank you so much. Any questions for Laura or Teresa? Yeah, great.
Very well.
Goldie.
Yes. First, what you girls are doing is incredible. That's number one. But before you start any of that stuff, I think this property belongs on the New York State National Register of Historic Places.
Well, you're limiting the structure.
No, I
by doing
won't.
that.
Get the New York State National Register on, and then do what you have to do.
We could put an elevator up.
Yeah, well, you could. They put Oakland Beach on the New York State National Register of Historic Places because it belongs there, but so does Mrs. Crawford's Park.
Yeah.
It belongs on the New York State National Register. I was at Crawford Park. I love it. I love it. I've been there when they've had all kinds of events and everything, and it's incredible. But it should absolutely be a historic park, just the same as Town of Bryan is historic. The Village of Portchester is historic. We're all historic. So you can do what you want to uplift it and upgrade it, but if you put it on the New York State National Register, you get more community, more everything. People will know, and they'll come from all over to see the park.
We'll investigate that
Okay,
option.
please.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay, Mr. Arcaro?
Absolutely. The next few slides talk a little bit about the general idea of the Community Development Block Grant Program and a couple of specifics about the direction that we're heading to 100% handicapped accessible. I did want to say, I've worked on some wonderful projects at the town, but working with Teresa and Laura on this one has been particularly invigorating. It's very exciting, and I think we saw that from the response of the letters. Couple of high points. So this is $4.1 million that used to go to the county and they would administer it annually. Because of the issues with the county, this particular year, after not being able to provide any support to local communities in 2011, 12, 13, and 14, this is the first year that the funds are available. Some work done by a number of people, I think including Nicolowi. And so now the state is administering this. This is the only time that we will have a Westchester County set-aside. Next year, it flows, this $4.1 million flows into the big state pot, and we're competing with Buffalo, Syracuse, and everybody else. So this is the first time we've had opportunity in quite a while, and it's just the county. You can see there are 4 uses of it. Unlike when the county administered this money, they used to provide support for a lot of social service programs. The state is not doing that, and they're only doing public infrastructure, sewers, those kinds of uses, roads, affordable housing, economic development, jobs, and public facilities, which is what we're talking about here at Crawford Park. The criteria of the use of the money is assisting low and moderate income, eliminating slum and blights, and helping particularly fragile community, and in our case, that's what we're going in because our town doesn't have 51% of its residents low and moderate income. We have 50.5. Amazing, we don't qualify on the general low income. But we do qualify because we zeroed in on handicapped accessibility. This chart essentially says the project for making Crawford Park 100% handicapped accessible, meaning first floor access to Crawford Park accessible, a bathroom on the first floor accessible, the second floor accessible, a bathroom on the second floor accessible, the bathrooms at the pavilion accessible, parking spaces with accessible parking and a path from the parking spaces to the playground and the sensory garden, and the playground, making it handicapped accessible in a universal sense, so there's not a section for handicapped and a section for non-handicapped. This is for all. And the sensory garden. So a wonderful, wonderful application. I think will be very competitive. It is $692,000, of which we're looking for $345 from CDBG, and we would be matching it with $345, and the Friends and other providing additional support. The maximum that we could get from the CDBG program is $400,000, so we're right there. This is direct costs. Another nice thing about the program is it's some indirect costs. Needless to say, we've gotten this far because of the wonderful work of the Friends, as well as some wonderful work from Arconics. Gary G. and Francesco and his staff worked over the weekend to get this going because the deadline is Friday at 4 o'clock. So there are town costs involved, and should we be successful, there's an 18% ability for us to recoup some of those costs, which would be somewhere around $60,000. Looking ahead, so here we are today on the 20th, the 23rd at 4 o'clock is when it's due. The statements being made are the announcement of the awards will be in December. It'll take a couple of months to get a contract signed. Then we at the town would go out for our own contracts with the contractors to do the work. Probably a naive but an aggressive schedule. Construction beginning in the second quarter of 2016. There's a requirement for a second public hearing. So just as this is to elicit input and comment, there's another one to comment to see how it's going. Have the expectation that we've created being met by the reality of the work? And that needed to be done before the project is completed, and maybe guessing it'll be completed by the fourth quarter of 2016. I want to ask you to just look back up at first quarter 2016. It's a 2-year contract, so we actually have 2 years to do it. Complete, done. I mean, I don't think we want to take that long, but that is the program. So it's very exciting. This is the required public hearing. It'll be submitted on behalf of the town, and the resolution that's before you a little later on is the key element authorizing the application to be made.
Questions from the board?
Where are we getting our portion of the money?
Well, it'll be this year's budget. It'll be
Is it-
this year's budget.
Are there any other towns vying for the money?
Yes, I just don't know how many. In previous years, the county had about 46 that are eligible, and maybe they gave out to like a high 20, but a number of those were public service projects for which this money can't be used. So
This money's not necessarily guaranteed at this point in time?
the 4.1 is guaranteed. How much?
I meant at 395.
No, in December, we will know that, right. And yes, in a word.
So do we have any contingency plans if we haven't?
Well, I would assume the standard way that we municipalities do things is to bond it. I mean, I think we're seeing the handicapped accessibility as a terrific need in the community for not only the handicapped, but as well as elderly, as well as moms in carriages kind of thing. But this is also a part of a larger vision for this great resource, Crawford Park. which the council has talked about, which the Friends have been advocating for. So I think it'd be a wonderful kickoff to a really substantial, Caramore South. Sorry?
Wonderful and substantial next time.
Whenever it occurs, yes.
If we were to get the money and say we started the project, would we still be able to apply for the funds for the same project?
Yes, so let's just assume that we didn't get all $345,000. There's another round in the spring. So if I understand what you're saying, Tom?
Yeah, if we didn't get the funds, and then say we decide to start the project, if we somehow had the money or get it started, would we be able to apply and put that money towards the project that we started?
If we are artful and if we choreograph our assistants to work on some aspects of this and not others, they won't join in with us if we started one part of it.
Okay.
So if we did the pavilions or did the elevators maybe and didn't do the others, we could carve it out that way. But it's got to kind of be carefully choreographed.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Arcaro?
No, so next year we can apply for the same type of grant, but we're competing with the rest of the state?
Exactly. So the ante is up by $4 million, but everybody is grabbing for that. Right?
Statewide.
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 Now it's just
Now it's
countywide.
just
Just
a
the
county.
county.
Okay.
This is our best chance.
Okay.
Best chance.
Well, I just want to thank Mr. Oh, please, I'm sorry.
So when will you said December, they'll announce?
Yes, at this moment, they've been saying mid-early December, they'll announce the awards, and then the contracting period will start.
Okay, but and if we don't get the award, I think we might still want to move ahead with some other plans.
Certainly seem to be reasonable to move ahead on some
We need to
important.
make that decision at the December meeting. Hopefully we'll have an answer from them.
Yeah.
Well, exactly, and that's the trick, you're absolutely right, Councilman Nioras, is that, well, we want to put together a capital budget,
Right.
and so the
I
capital.
don't want to sideline all the work that was done.
No, of course
for
not.
this, but, I don't want to sideline this, for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I want to keep going after this money,
I
but,
think
You
we're
bring
looking
up
at,
a good point in the sense that I think later on you might be talking about windows. I mean, there's other things that you've looked for at Crawford, so the state is going to see this as part of a whole project and not that they're just being asked only for their money to do something. They'll see it as, so I mean, it's a very, very competitive application.
wonderful. Well, I just want to, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
I just want to thank Mr. Arcaro for all the hard work. We wouldn't be here today with an application for Mr. Arcaro. Mr. Arcaro hadn't done this. Secondly, obviously, I want to thank the Friends of Crawford Park. Wonderful presentation, one of the top presentations we've seen. I love your enthusiasm, and thank you so much. Let's keep it going. I want to thank Gary Gianfrancisco, who's not here tonight because he worked through the weekend. And obviously, Mr. Nowotnik's put a lot of time and effort into this as well. So thanks very much for pulling this together. And we'll do a resolution later on to approve this.
Do you want to read the resolution?
Yeah, sure. You want to read it now? Perfect.
If you close the hearing, then you can vote the resolution.
Oh, right, sorry.
You
Yeah,
want
I
to do
forgot
that?
it. Yeah. Great. Is there any comments from the public on the hearing? Yes, Mr. Zuckerman?
Gary Zuckerman, Rockbrook. I just want to say that I think that it's a long time coming. I totally support this application, and I think every resident of the town is going to support this application because it's just something that has to be done. I've made my views clear before that we could have been doing this a while ago, but better late than never. I think this is great, and I think that the Friends of Crawford Park have done an unbelievable job. They do an unbelievable job all during the year, and especially a great job on this. And they're to be congratulated, and Mr. Arcaro has done a good job, and you're all to be congratulated on this. I think it's wonderful.
Okay. So can I get any other comments from the public?
Yes,
Repeat comment.
sorry. Well,
Goldie, I gotta get out of here by.
I know, Joe Common has heard this, but a lot of people here haven't. Okay, so I'm gonna just bring it up quickly.
Oh, Goldie, sorry, this is.
Only on the CDBG.
Comments yet.
You said public comment.
I apologize, I mean, go ahead, that's fine.
Okay, the Portchester Recreation Department and TD Bank presents free Halloween in the Park. Wednesday, October 28th, at Lyon Park for children of all ages. The rain date is Thursday, October 29th. The event starts at 6 p.m. with a costume parade led by the Portchester Middle School Band. Okay, candy will not be given out until after the costume contest is finished. Okay, please. They have free tattoos too, and everything else. And all I can tell you is, Portchester is a part of the town of Rye, just the same as Rye Brook is. And we want everybody who is in the town of Rye to bring their children to the Lyon Park on Halloween in the Park, which is free. Okay? So come on, do it. If you need flyers, I have them. Okay, because I'm going to be there. I am part of the entertainment and the amusement committee, entertainment and recreation committee, and I'm part of this park. So please, if you need flyers, just come and get them.
Thank you so much, Goldie. Thank you.
Okay.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Okay, can I get a motion to bring the public meeting to a close? Second?
Second.
Hope to call the roll quickly.
Councilperson Nardi,
Yes.
Nioras,
Yes.
Villanova, Supervisor Carvin.
Yes. Okay, now we need to reopen the, or open
You can
the,
open the meeting and then jump down to resolutions E and F,
perfect.
which are on the
Okay, great,
grant.
yep. Okay, can I get a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, terrific. Okay, we'll move down to resolutions E and F, Mr. Arcaro. I guess we're gonna let you go home early tonight. Resolution E. I hope you want to read it to us?
Well, why don't you just, you could just read the resolve
Yeah, the
portion,
resolve part,
because you've
yeah.
had the public hearing, and the town is authorizing the council to make an application for the following improvement.
And then we commit to match any CDBG funds it receives from New York State. So that's basically what we're authorizing, correct?
Correct.
Good.
Everything is
Okay, any
correct.
questions from the board? Get a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second? Just call the roll quickly, please, Hope.
Nardi?
Yes.
Collins? Yes. Nioras?
Yes.
Villanova? Carvin.
Yes. And resolution F, you're going to authorize me to enter into contact with Arconics.
This was the Arconics contract,
Right.
7,500, that you
Yep.
had,
Yep.
you would ask the board to
Thank you.
indicate their support.
Yep.
So I drafted a resolution so that you can officially retain Arconics for an amount not to exceed $7,500 for this project.
Perfect, thank you very much. They worked, as I say, through the weekend. We, given the tight application deadline, timeline, we needed to move quickly. I thank the board for giving us the green light to go ahead and hire them, so now we need to formally approve it. Can I get a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Okay, Hope, call the roll.
Nardi?
Yes.
Collins? Yes. Nioras?
Yes.
Villanova? Supervisor Carvin.
Yes,
So
okay.
now we need an executive session.
Why are we doing this extra, do we need to go, why are we doing it, normally we do it at the end of the meeting.
Well, because we have guests here,
Okay.
attorneys who are probably on the clock for the village, and you
Right.
know how expensive that can be.
Yes, I do.
So,
Can I-
out of courtesy to our municipal officials,
All right.
we don't like to keep them waiting all
Yeah,
night. So,
okay, perfect.
we'd like to.
Do I get a
go
motion to go to executive
for,
session?
Litigation, and then there's a personnel matter you want to discuss.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I end the executive session or do I
Yeah.
vote?
You're out of executive, now you're back in
All right,
regular.
can I vote to get a motion to come back into session?
So moved.
All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, before I forget, Janelle, you looking at me here? Okay, the Friends of Crawford Park asked me to remind everybody that they're proudly presenting an evening with bluesman Guy Davis and guest Wendy Martin. That's Saturday, November 7th at 8 p.m. Saturday, November 7th at 8 p.m. Music at the Mansion, intimate acoustic concerts in the historic Crawford Park Mansion in Rye Brook. All proceeds benefit beautification at Crawford Park. It's $24 in advance or $30 at the door. Just Google, www.musicatthemansion.org or 914-417-9151. Let's support Crawford Park and get that mansion moving. All right, Janelle, thank you. Okay, Presentations. Okay, hope you have the tentative budget.
I want to
I'm not,
present the tentative budget to the board. And that one has a little, like calendar in the back of it, just to help everyone.
let's talk about the calendar. I think that, this is very much of a preliminary budget. The one thing I want to make sure we do this year is a capital budget. And so we need to make sure that happens. And I think in terms of, Mr. Noah, what are we doing on taxes? We held the line on taxes, right?
Excuse me, yes. Yes, we did not change taxes. The budget does not have any increases in salaries for staff. And there are no significant program changes other than the addition of $100,000 to debt service as a debt service for the potential capital projects.
Right, so I had preliminary meetings with Town Clerk Vespia, Receiver of Taxes Mecca. They put together some nice reports as of now. Some terrific reports talking about what they've done and their budgets. Mr. Noda submitted his budget, which I think is in line with previous years. I don't know, and I need, and the town assessor Canaro was out. We got the court's budget as well, sorry. So I basically met with the various people. Again, this is a preliminary budget, really more than anything for you to take home. I don't know if there's any questions now, but it's more just to present it. In terms of the calendar, Hope, it's December 20th, we need to finalize it, correct?
Yes.
And what do we need to
You need a
do?
public hearing though,
So let's vote the public hearing.
and that would be your November meeting is okay.
Okay, all right, so 7:30?
17th, yeah.
The 17th at 7:30.
Whoa, the 17th.
What?
It's my wife's birthday.
No.
I will not be here.
Is that?
If I'm here, I'll be late.
Yeah, we can do it, it has to be before.
You
the-
want to change it?
No.
Mrs. Carvin might want you
Don't.
to take your meeting for her birthday.
Oh. Well, you're going to go out there?
So, maybe I will.
Yeah.
Well, we'll celebrate with Roz and you
Yeah,
can be here.
that's what I'm talking
Yeah, run the
about.
public hearing, right?
Yeah, that sounds.
I think,
We
I
can
know
move
who'd
it.
have more fun.
Is there a way to move?
Well, I mean, if we have potential conflicts.
What's
with both
Thanksgiving,
of
the
you.
26th?
Yeah, I can't do that week.
Yeah.
Can we move it to that Wednesday after?
How
Yeah, we
about
want to make it the
Wednesday?
10th?
I can't do the 10th.
All right, the 18th?
Wednesdays aren't really great for me, though. The 11th can't do.
18th I can do.
18th?
So wait, our
Mr.
meeting was
Rollo?
supposed to be
I
the
think I'm-
17th,
I think I'm
right?
good.
Huh?
Can we do the 18th?
It'll be
Don't
Wednesday.
change it on my,
How about the
because of
19th?
18th, I can do the 19th, either one.
I can do the 19th. I can do both, 18th and 19th.
Two.
Day?
Councilman Nioras?
I'm fine with either.
All right, let's do the
Day? What's the
19th.
day?
It's a
Thursday.
Okay, I
Make
want to
sure-
advise the board that there's a high probability that the courtroom may not be available.
fine.
courtroom's not available.
We'll go to
There's
Crawford
a
Park.
zoning board meeting
Right.
Crawford Park
at
or
7
right
o'clock.
All right.
Okay, would you consider Rye Brook perhaps?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Accommodating that time.
Yeah, they'll
All right,
have
because
us.
Rye Brook at least has all the facilities in
Yeah.
place
That would
to
be
be able to
fantastic.
broadcast.
Excellent.
I will ask
Great
them.
if we could.
Okay, so third, we're gonna move establish
The
the
first
public
vote would
hearing.
be, the first vote would be to change the November meeting to November 19th.
Okay,
And then the second vote would be to schedule a public hearing on the 2016 budget on the 19th.
wonderful. Can I get a motion to approve, the changing the meeting, the November meeting to Thursday, November 19th? We can start earlier if we want to,
That's what I
right?
was thinking, let's do the
7:30.
public hearing at
7,
7.
if you want.
and then we can start
I can
the-
do 7.
7 o'clock on the 19th.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So moved.
A second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And then the public hearing, you want to do it for 7 or you want to do it for 6:30?
Well, 7,
7,
All
okay.
right, point of order. Since we don't know about our venue availability, will there be any problem if we set the public hearing, we say that it's in the village of Rye Brook, and then we have to move it to, let's say, Rye Neck or some other?
Yeah, that's a problem. I mean, the public hearing notice has to be accurate.
No, but the question, do we have to read?
put the public's notice out until 5 days before, correct?
Right.
No, but, so I guess the question is, we don't have to reconvene to revote?
No.
Okay, That's fine.
No, we just have to
All right,
just
I
change
just-
notice.
The notice
Time,
is
should we
published
need
has to be
to?
accurate.
Right.
Okay.
So
Good.
7
We'll know
PM
by then.
on
7
Thursday,
PM,
yeah.
Thursday the 19th.
Tentatively in
See,
Rybrook,
where's the,
contingent on
Janelle, get
their-
a close-up again. Want to look in the camera and tell my wife, see how we do this, is how much the whole town board is honoring you.
Just for you, Mrs. Carvin.
Okay.
Okay,
There we
so-
go, let's see who's next on the agenda here. Okay, assessment, well, Ms. Canower, Town Assessor Canower.
Do I need a mic? No.
No, you're going to speak loud.
I'm just going to speak loud.
She's
Okay.
picking you up over here.
Good evening, everybody. I am just going to give a quick presentation on some of my web pages. I worked very hard last year to create new web pages with our new web server. And just to give you some perspective, this is last year's web page. It's not really coming up on the screen, quite right, but I will just give you a
Hold on, before you go,
overview.
before you lose that photo, I have to say, we have one of the most dedicated and professional. I gotta say, I was working with Maria the other day, spectacular.
Yeah.
Rocio, spectacular. Charlie, we've got a wonderful team there. We're very fortunate. And I just wanted to, while we got their photos up there.
I'm very fortunate. Now, this is the old website, so I'll just briefly go through it. And it basically just introduces us, what assessment does, and it's about 3 pages of just all jammed in information, frequently asked questions, contact information, information about the town itself, and maybe I should just do this over here. And basically down 3/4 of the way at the bottom is the final assessment roll, and it would be really cumbersome to find information on this old site. So
This is the old site.
that's the old site. Now this is the new site, and if I can go to the home page, I was going around to some different pages I'd like to show, but this is our new home page. And again, we have a new hosting service that makes it much easier
Better photo,
to
too.
make changes. Well, it's actually the same photo. It needs to be updated. But that was recycled because we haven't had time to take a new picture. But as you can see now, we've got some basic information about assessment. Contact us. So if you have a question, we get a lot of questions about STAR, about change of address, just basic questions. People just contact us this way. And then all of the other elements are over here in these various buttons. So if you wanted to, basically I'm calling this presentation everything you ever wanted to know about assessment, but were afraid to ask. So if anybody has any specific questions, I'd be happy to walk them through how to find the information. And I think it's important that we push this information out there because the public is pretty savvy about using the internet anymore. And seniors who may not be so comfortable using it, we're still available to answer questions, work with them over the counter, and
We
do.
look at a property record.
We
look
normally
at my,
do.
look at
Okay.
my mom's house.
So
Beverly.
if you wanted to, let's say, find your property and you wanted to find your assessment on June 1st when the new assessments come out, what you'd go to is this property records parcel data search. And one of the most user-friendly links is this SDG ImageMate. So you would click here for public access, and you would agree and continue. And then you could type in any of the information that you know about a parcel. So in this case, we're going to look up Carvin. And we search, and there are 2 Carvins.
Well,
Our honorable supervisor, and I guess this is family
Mom.
member, mom. Okay, so we click on her section, block, and lot, and there is her information. 9 Barrett, photograph, current assessment. So when the new change of assessments come out on June 1st, if you want to know hot off the press, if your assessment has changed before any notices have gone out, you could go here on June 1st, June 2nd, and you could check that, and the new information would be there.
could you compare that with other properties on the street?
Other properties on the street, okay, so I would have to back,
Like,
Comparable.
you mean
Comparable.
Henry,
Oh,
or do you want
with the
me right now?
comparables,
Yeah.
where where's the comparable?
On the left,
Sorry,
on the
okay.
report.
We don't use that often, but yeah, you could customize this and try to find some properties that would be comparable. It defaults to certain settings. It's going to look for similar 210 single-family residents in the village of Portchester that are split level. So if you just took the default settings, you could run the query, and hopefully it will give you some other properties that should be similar. Again, you have to kind of filter that out, look at them and say, okay, yeah, you look at the picture, say, oh, that would be the same. But it's picking up similar properties, similar square footage. This one's actually a pretty good, quick comparison. Some of them are not quite as good, so you still have to filter through it. But, you know, if you just want a quick comparison of other people in that immediate neighborhood, again, it's in the same neighborhood code you'd be looking at. You'd hopefully find something on the same street if you can. But this would give you a rough idea of where you stood. Am I comparable with my neighbors, or am I totally off the charts and I need to file a grievance? So that is one aspect of the website. Another and you can always go, you just use the back button to go back, you know, to your main screens. And that one you get into pretty deep. But I always try to have an assessment homepage button so you can go back to the main page. One of the helpful links for grievances was this What's New in Assessment. And I've removed the grievance information because basically it's dated now, but we have information on the small claims which had to be filed up through October 15th.
Did you create this yourself?
I created all these pages, yeah. And is your assessment fair is another link to one of our pages. And what's good about this is it's third-party information. So if you call us up and you don't believe what we have to say, I would hope you would, but if you want to find out what New York State has to say, you can link to their video that walks you through, is your assessment fair? We don't need to go through that now, but it's a little interesting video to find out about, you know, how you would look at your assessment, publication about contesting your assessment. Some of these things, I don't know why these links aren't working now, but you could look at any of these links and hopefully find out what you need to know. On the page of, first back to What's New in Assessment, you know, there's some articles about what's happening in the housing market. You know, property sales are up, sales prices are kind of flat, but the median home, you know, this was interesting, I just pulled this up, median home value right now is $676,500. So how do you compare to the median home value in Westchester? That would be something you may want to look at. One of the other links that's helpful is understanding the assessment roll. This is an actual picture of our assessment roll. Hope had it one day, and I said, oh, that'd be really cool to have it out on the website. So I took that picture and uploaded that. But on the main page, on the home page of the town, is the final assessment roll or the tentative assessment roll. It has to be out there so you can access it quickly. We can take a look at that in a second. But this is kind of interesting from New York State. It's a sample excerpt of an assessment roll page. So if you're looking at an assessment roll, which is probably to most people Greek, you would say, okay, well, what does this mean, taxable status date? Well, and it's all pretty similar on each roll. You'd go down here, well, the taxable status date, the assessment reflects the ownership and physical condition of the property as of this date. So if you want to educate yourself about anything on the roll, this is a great place to start. So if we go back out, we hit our final assessment roll. Hopefully this will come up pretty quickly. It's a 3,369 page document, and it's not opening. Darn. I had it open before. And I may have lost everything. It's a very large file, and
well, that being said, if you're having trouble doing this, wouldn't you think that maybe the public would be having trouble right now too?
No, this is the problem.
I don't think they will have a problem. You do have to be patient because it's a big document. Let me see if I can do
There
it
you go.
from the home page. Okay, there, see, that time it loaded up fine. I'm working through my computer at the office here, so that link in and of itself could be causing a bit of a glitch up. But here is our final assessment roll, which we just published September 15th. And so depending upon the browser you're using, I think I'm in Google Chrome. So let me see if I can do a find. Okay, there's the find feature. In Google Chrome, it's Control F, but a lot of times it's edit find. So if we type in, keep it simple, type in Carvin instead of anything like an address, and hit enter, it should, I don't know why it's got so many Carvins. Oh, there's Barbara Carvin that we just looked up. This is the assessment roll. This is a uniform percent of value, valuation date, taxable status date, the date by which all the exemptions have to be in, the date that if a property has a fire or it's built, we look at it as of that date. And here's the information about Barbara Carvin, acres, the taxable value, if she had any exemptions, the full market value. It's pretty simple as far as what it presents in information. That other SDG link with the picture of the property has more information, but both of them are coming from the same source, which is our RPS assessment database. So this is basically a snapshot of our database. That's all a roll really is. Is there anything anybody would like to see in particular that I could?
You should show the inventory.
The inventory.
And I think you should also show the tax map.
Okay, so the inventory on a parcel like Barbara Carvin's house?
Well, why not do an inventory on the part, like, so let's just say what about 10 Pearl Street? You know that building's been ripped down. Shouldn't that be reflected in the assessment now?
It should be.
Let's look at that.
Let's see what we got here. I don't know if we have an updated picture, but
I would be surprised.
it should.
That was this year though, isn't it? Behind?
Okay, so now it has several pictures in here. I don't know. It should show. We should have a recent one, but we might not yet. I guess.
Yeah, but that was only a few months ago.
Yeah, I would have to.
What I'm saying though is that, because this was, what was the roll, the date, September?
This
Well,
was.
actually,
This was as the valuation is as of July 1st, 2014.
Oh, you value this separately than the parking lot?
This is just the building.
Right, okay. Great, well, I think that's pretty much what we wanted to see. I just wanted to, I know you put a lot of work and effort into this. I want the public to know it's available to them. If you're having difficulty sleeping at night and you want to know property values in the town of Rye, this is the place to come.
Open up that assessment roll.
Oh, the tax map. There was a tax map?
Tax map, yeah. Okay, why did that do that?
Oh, that's fine. We were
All right, I don't know.
problems with yeah.
Sometimes it depends on the browser you're using, and that really is not, and unfortunately, that's out of our control. But, and we have something on the income and expenses, the forms that people have to fill out, the law is there, just explaining about it so that when commercial property owners and their representatives come in to file grievances, that we can point them to this right away.
Beautiful.
There's a lot of information, and we encourage people to go out there and take a look at it. Even when building permits and zoning, I've got links to, the Village of Mamaroneck. I mean, it goes right to their website. And, You know, it talks about we don't have zoning maps, but, you know, I've got links out to the zoning map of the village of Rybrook.
Cool.
So it's all sorts of information.
So much information.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much, the town assessor. I very
You're
much
welcome.
appreciate it. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the September 16th meeting?
So moved.
And a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, comments from the public? No,
Is this the comments of the public?
Yep.
Unrelated matter?
Pardon me?
Unrelated matters.
Unrelated
Yep,
matter?
yep, yep.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, just, I know it's late, everybody wants to go home, just indulge me for a few minutes. My name is Drew Hastings. Yeah, that would be great, if you could, there's 5, I think I have 5 of them.
Okay.
And I'll say the dreaded words, I'm here to ask permission to cut down 2 trees. I know that sounds awful. I'm a friend of Crawford Park. I've planted 48 trees on my park. I love trees. There are 2 very large trees you'll see on the first page. X marks the spot. That's my house. It's very close to Crawford Park. It's about 40 feet, actually, because it's an old house, and I guess the setbacks weren't that great back then. But meanwhile, these trees have grown considerably. They're probably 70 to 90 feet high.
Sorry, I don't
And,
mean to interrupt, but is this a decision we can make?
Where are the trees, sir?
Where? They're
What property?
in the park
Or
property.
in the park
In the
itself?
park?
In the park.
That's what I'm trying to understand. So
Oh, they're your trees.
they are trees.
Well, they're town, they're.
Oh, okay, that's what I'm trying to understand.
The
Okay.
Crawford
Yes,
Park
sorry.
trees, they're-
If
Sorry.
the trees were on your property.
Oh, no, no,
you
no.
wouldn't
Right.
be able to keep going, sorry.
Sorry. So you also see where the house is in relation to the park and the trees. It's sort of downwind from prevailing nor'easter storms. We bought the house in 2007, and since then there's been a tremendous volatility in the weather, as I think we all know. And if you turn the page,
Good photos.
you'll see some pictures. That was in the park, and I took my kids out there, and we saw that destruction. And then a few years later, we had Sandy in 2012, and there's some pictures of that as well. So what I really would like is to for you to imagine if this was your house and you had some young children, and every time there's a nor'easter, and you know what's going on in that park with trees toppling over like bowling pins, really. You know, whether you can sort of overcome the aversion to cutting down a tree. It's something I would pay for myself, so it wouldn't cost the taxpayers any money, and it would help us sleep at night. The problem I have is, if those trees come down, it's not about money. I can rebuild the house, I can get my insurance company to pay, or we can fight with your insurance company. The problem is those trees are so big and they're so heavy, they're just going to crush everybody in that house, and that's the concern.
How long have you lived there?
2007.
Well, I'll just speak for myself. Ultimately, now we have, whether Mr. Hastings came here or not tonight, and Mr. Noto may agree with me or disagree, if Mr. Hastings sent us a letter and notified the town of Rye that he's concerned about these trees and we did not take any action, we would be liable. And considering that Mr. Hastings came here tonight and ultimately made the presentation and has put the town of Rye on notice, it's our responsibility, my opinion, Paul, I guess will give us some direction, that we need to contact our arborist and we need to review the tree and to see if it's trees, to see if this is something that could be addressed with management, whether it's pruning or whether it's removal of the tree. But
Can I just interrupt? I'm sorry. There is a little history here. I've been badgering Bishop with panicking phone calls and letters, I think, for a few years now. I think the first one I sent was back in 2012 after Sandy. And you have come out, I think, as I understand it, you've hired 3 or 4 arborists, which have all given these trees a healthy sort of bill of health. And my point is, if you look at those pictures, there's probably plenty of trees that are healthy that just toppled over. So it's not a matter of whether they're diseased or, in my opinion, or at higher risk. Let's assume they're perfectly healthy, which makes it worse when I'm asking, because they're healthy trees and they're still growing. So I think the town actually cabled them. One of them is a split ash. Although I think that makes everybody feel a little bit better. You know, if we had another big storm, you know, 2 nails and a wire is not going to stop, you know, those trees from coming down, in my view. I have 2x10 rafters in my roof, which is pretty big, but they're not going to hold off those trees.
So, again, what I would suggest is to have the arborist give us a report. I don't think that the board would be in a decision just to say tonight, okay, let's take the trees down without having a report. I'll let the supervisor speak for us, but that's just my opinion. I think it needs to be addressed.
I actually agree with you, Deputy Supervisor Villanova. I'm not prepared to make a decision tonight. I'm thoroughly prepared to have the arborist look at it, trying to understand the situation. I understand your concern, obviously, but I'm not prepared to, to make a decision this evening.
I kind of agree with him, because if I lived there, I'd be very nervous with these trees.
Yeah.
But I understand, you moved in knowing the trees were there, correct?
Yeah.
The trees didn't suddenly appear.
Would you agree that the weather has gotten really crazy in the last 10 years? I mean, the storms we've seen have been unprecedented. So I don't think, I mean, I grew up in the Northeast. I spent my whole life in Connecticut and New York. And we never had storms like that when I was growing up. So all of a sudden, when you see these storms, you see these trees toppling over, it's a different world we live in now. And it's not something I really thought about when I bought the house. I mean, the house was falling down. That I knew about. And I've rebuilt it, and it's livable now. But those trees, yes, they were there, but it really wasn't on my radar.
Well, I guess the point is, no one's saying no, right? And what we're saying is have an arborist look at it. I mean, so the risk is between now and the November meeting.
What would you be looking for the arborist to report on?
I'd like to get some sense of how stable the trees are. I don't want to just, maybe I sound a little, maybe super touchy-feely, whatever. I just want to knock the trees down. I don't want to kill the trees. Those trees have been there for 100 years.
If I may, as advisor, Bishop, obviously has communicated with me about this, and I said the same thing. I said, send the arborist. Now, and I think Mr. Hastings understands this, Rybrook has an arborist on staff, who is basically our arborist. And he went out twice, I think, yeah.
Oh,
and he came back and he said the trees are fine. The trees are healthy and fine. So the question, I think you've heard this, right? I mean, this is not news to you, right? Okay, so the question for the board is, do you kill and remove a healthy trees? And I don't know. I mean, I think it's an awkward situation because you're A, establishing a precedent, and then B, these are perfectly healthy trees. Now, just understand that we have another situation where a tree fell on a neighbor of Crawford Park's property. They were looking for partial reimbursement on their insurance. They paid a $1,000 deductible, and they took care of it. So, who's that?
That's Bishop.
Oh. I'm sorry. Okay. So, and I'm not sure we can do that because they said, it's public money, and I just, without filing a claim, I don't know if we can just write you a check for $1,000. And I understand her plight. I mean, she said, oh, we spent this money, and then we fed this.